China is trying to retool its economy so that it relies more on consumption to drive growth. That means a bigger role for the private sector. I'm here with Zhang Xin, the CEO of SOHO, one of China's premier property developers. Zhang Xin, what are you seeing in the political atmosphere that gives you encouragement that private business in China really is being unleashed?
People are, this is a moment people reflect a lot on, what would be the driver for the future growth in China, right? Because for us, we've been developer and being part of the urbanization program. Will China continue to urbanize, and would that still be the driver for the growth? This happens to be an industry where it's quite liberal. Private sector is quite strong. If you look at the top listed developers, private and government state-owned are sort of half-half. So we're not, in terms of unleashing the private energy, is probably already out there.
Nevertheless, you are reliant for your growth and expansion on the availability of land, all of which in Chinese cities is owned by the government.
That is true, yeah. That is true in nearly every city in the world. Although land is pretty much auctioned these days, at least in the areas I'm familiar with in Beijing and Shanghai, the only way you can buy land is through an auction, which is whether you're state-owned or private. It's the only thing that matters is pricing. There has been a few cases where government was trying to control, in the name of controlling the price, and to eliminate people's qualification. And we happen to be the one who's not qualified to be part of the auction. But by and large, it's not the case.
So prices in Beijing and Shanghai keep stubbornly going up despite every effort by central government to bring them under control and to make housing more affordable. How long can this go on for? Is it possible that we could finally at some point see a crash?
Every year I've been hearing people say that might be a crash, and nothing has happened. But for one thing is sure is that the return on capital, if you were to buy real estate, is on the declining side. If you used to get comfortable with 15% return, then it's down to 10, and now it's down to 5. So that is really coming down quite a bit.
What is the implication of that for SOHO's business?
For SOHO's business, when we see the return on capital is so much lower, it only means that we need to be much careful. The real estate investment business is very cyclical. The years that we sell very well typically will be the bad year to buy. And the year that we can buy a lot, like right after a financial crisis, 2009, early half of 2010, you simply couldn't sell that much. So that's where China is now, it's again in the time where developers need to be very, very careful.
I've heard it said that property prices in Beijing and Shanghai, and I think this is widely believed within China, Shanghai property prices can go up forever, but watch out for property in second, third, fourth tier cities. Do you think that there is a bifurcated market in China like that?
Well, there is no cities real estate prices can go on forever. No city is different in that regard. It's all cyclical business. When the investment is too much, return is too low, the market would adjust itself. Already in today's China, the smaller cities, because the demand is much smaller, and when big capital goes in, supply overwhelms the market. So then the return is already on the lower side compared to cities like Beijing and Shanghai. That's why we have been pushed into a very narrowly focused market of Beijing and Shanghai, afraid of going into a smaller cities where demand is so small and the supply can be too much. So I think you have to separate China into, because it's so big, right, into cities that real estate markets still relatively okay, cities that are already very oversupplied.
And a final question, here we are at Davos. What are you picking up from all the sessions? What's the vibe on China?
I was jokingly talking with my colleague today and say if anybody in China is depressed, they need to come to Davos for a day, right? I've been here in less than 24 hours. I've been hearing every CEO from Blackstone to PepsiCo to Nissan. All they talk about is how optimistic they are about China. They had a great year in 2013. they will have another even better year in 2014.
Zhang Xin, thank you very much.